Jai Gurudev. People often ask me, what is Sade Sati? Many astrologers are scaring me that I'll be going through a very tough time. So, can you please tell me what Sade Sati is and how do I get over it? Saturn is the planet in Vedic astrology. It's the planet of discipline. It's the planet of order. It's a planet of restriction. Now, Sade Sati means seven and a half. In Hindi, it means seven and a half. Now, to understand this, we'll understand a little bit of basics of Jyotisha, the astrology. There are 12 constellations. We call them the 12 Rashis, the 12 signs. At the time of birth, whichever Rashi, whichever constellation your moon is, that is your moon Rashi, that is your moon sign. For example, when you're born, that day, if the moon is in the sign of Libra, then you're Libra Rashi, or in Hindi or Sanskrit, it is Tula Rashi. If it is Aries, it is Mesha Rashi. It is Cancer, it is Karkataka Rashi. Now, the moon stands for our mind. Yeah? And planet Saturn is the slowest moving planet among all the planets. Therefore, we call it the Manda Graha, the slow moving. So, it takes around 30 years to go around these 12 constellations. That means in every sign, every constellation, it stays there for approximately 2.5 years. Now, the moon sign, before the sign occupying before your moon sign, and the moon sign, and the sign occupying next to your moon sign. And when the planet Saturn goes through these three signs, it will stay there for 2.5 years in each of the signs. So 2.5 years before the moon sign, 2.5 years on the moon sign, and 2.5 years next to your moon sign. That becomes 7.5 years of Saturn cycle. So we call it the Sade Sati, or the 7.5 years of Saturn cycle. Now, we need to understand what Saturn is. Saturn is the karma graha, which bestows us the karma of our actions. It is more or less like our examination time, the result time. Now, whatever action, whatever karma we have done in a lifetime, Sade Sati is the examination time, is the result time. Now, it will give you the perfect result of whatever the action we have done in the past. It shows the reality. Saturn is the most real planet. It shows our reality. If we have done justice to our work, if we have done justice to various aspects of life, Saturn will only do good in that 7.5 years period. Typically what happens in these 7.5 years period, people go through a lot of financial difficulties, job difficulties, relationship problem, health problem. It simply means that if you have not looked after our health properly, if you have overeaten more than what is necessary, if you have not taken sattvic food, so more or less in the Saturn period, the 7.5 years of Saturn period, we will go through that difficult time, health-wise. Even in relationship, if you are not loyal in any relationship, if you have not looked after our parents well, our children well, our spouse, our friends, if you have done something which is not according to dharma, then in 7.5 years of Saturn time, the Saturn will give you the justice. As in, it shows us the reality. Look, this is what you have done, and therefore you are going through this. So most of the divorce cases happens in the 7.5 years of Saturn period. And also, in the job, if you have not given 100% in our work-related matters, if you have not worked honestly, sincerely, then most of the time during Saturn period, people will lose the job. They lose their savings. So Saturn as such is not bad, but it's a reality planet. It shows us the real you. So whatever work we have done in the past, that is what Saturn. And the purpose of Saturn in our life is to take us to spirituality. If we have valued love, joy, happiness, compassion, seva, service, sadhana, our practice, daily practice, satsang, the company of the truth, then Saturn will only do good in the 7.5 period of time. So if we have not valued these things, then Saturn comes to us in our life to show us that let's value these things. And also Saturn is a very slow moving planet, and therefore the transformation that happens is very slow. This can sometimes lead us to frustration, lead us to irritation. It gives us a feeling that nothing is moving at all. But in reality, If we have started 7.5 years of time now, and after 7.5 years of time, if we look back at our life, then so many things have changed. We become a very refined, reformed individual. We become absolutely spiritual. People could be on spiritual path, but they may not be following spirituality. That is a greater sin. Many sadhaks, many great teachers, being on the spiritual path, if you have said, okay, let's not involve that teacher, don't go do seva with that teacher, you should only work for me, all these small minded things, then Saturn will definitely give justice in that 7.5 period of time. So if you ask me personally, it's one of the most beautiful time in one's life, because it transforms one into a very refined individual. Saturn is the planet of justice, is the planet of karma. Sometimes if you're stuck in court cases, that will get delayed. And Saturn stands for humility. The more humble, the more the more down to earth you are, the more rewards Saturn will give you. This planet Sun stands for ego. Therefore, Sun and Saturn, they don't go well together. Now, if you have acted anything out of arrogance at any situation of time, if you have not looked after your servants well, the people who do the service well, planet also stands for, Saturn also stands for the planet of service, the seva. So if you have not treated anyone who is working under you well, then Saturn will definitely give you justice. So never ever be arrogant, especially in Saturn period, this Sade Sati, and don't try to act smart. If somebody comes to you for help, instead of helping them, making use of their helpless situation, now if you try to take advantage of you, then Saturn will definitely take advantage of you in that. So all these basic things, we call it dharma. Now all these basics of dharma, the ethics, the Saturn will come to us, and it will show you the ethical way of living. And if we notice, at the beginning of Sade Sati, or the Shani Mahadasha, Saturn Dasha, the Saturn period of 19 years, what happens is you feel that nothing is moving at all. Then you feel that you're losing energy, you're losing that life force energy, our prana level goes down. So, it's very, very important to keep our prana level high, our enthusiasm high. Therefore, we pray to Lord Hanumanta, we chant Hanuman Chalisa. The Lord Hanuman stands for humility, he stands for courage, he stands for our life force energy. There's a saying, the demon king Ravana once captured all the planets and he made them come to the 11th house. 11th house is a very good house in astrology. Including planet Saturn, he tied them and he made them sit in the 11th house. And it is said that Hanumanta, he came and he relieved all the planets, including planet Saturn. So Saturn was very pleased with Hanumanta's help, and Saturn said, whoever worships you, I will not trouble them. So it just means, that's the story, but the significance means whoever has the quality of Hanuman, which is the attitude of service, attitude of devotion, attitude of energy, attitude of enthusiasm, selfless service, dhasya manobhava. So all these things, planet will only bless us. Saturn will only bless us. And during Saturn time, if you work 100%, you may get result only 30-40% of your work. So that is how Saturn is. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, "Karmanye bhadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana." You have the right to do your duty, but not for the fruits thereof. And in Saturn time, you'll get that. You'll get that. So Saturn is a very, very spiritual planet. So if you are not in spiritual path, it will push you to the spiritual path. It will show you the right direction in life. Although it is very slow, it can become a very slow, and that slowness can become very irritating, can become very frustrating. So important thing is to do our pranayama, yoga, dhyana, meditation, sudarshan kriya, selfless service, helping the downtrodden, helping the poor, donating blankets to them. All these things Saturn will be very pleased. And it is not that Saturn will only give us bad things in our life. I have seen people risen to the heights of their spiritual ladder, career ladder. For example, our Prime Minister, he became Prime Minister during his Sade Sati. People who look after many organizations, many CEOs, they have become CEOs in Sade Sati. You get married in Sade Sati, you have kids in Sade Sati, you construct a house in Sade Sati. So all the good things also happen, although there will be some expenses. So there is nothing to worry about planet Saturn. So if we live a life of ethics, if we live a life of spirituality, honoring everyone, you know, we can honor somebody who is very friendly with us. But to honor somebody who is not friendly with us, that is when Saturn will get very pleased. You know, Gurudev says in one of his knowledge, like, if you're lazy, you know, God will blessings will come to you in the form of hard work. So that is exactly what Saturn does. So in Saturn period, because the prana level goes down, we might feel a very lethargic. You might feel so. Then hard work is the only way. You put hard work, you work without expecting any result, and then Saturn will only give you good things. So this is how planet Saturn treats us. There's nothing to afraid of. It is the part of nature. Follow ethical behavior, ethical attitude. Be good to everyone. You know, lead a life of service. Lead a life of sattva, and chant Hanuman Chalisa. Visit Hanuman temple, and you'll see that Saturn period is the most beautiful time. It's the most transformational time in one's life. Jai Guru.